here's the thing. For everybody listening, don't make the same mistake the Bengals just did in any facet of your life.
People are going to get hurt. It's the hockey season.
What about the Jared Cook play on the sideline?
I was very tempted to just put defense.
I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
Come on, Austin and I have been saying this ever since Joe Burrow got injured.
I don't really think the Dodgers are going to make the World Series this year. I feel like they'll make it to the NLCS.
The Fernando Tatis extension, because that really surprised me.
Like you said, Ovechkin, he's getting older. He hasn't been playing as well as I imagined. He's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time, but he hasn't started off this season as hot as I would hope.
Hi, I'm Jeff Allen, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin, and Austin and I will be discussing the Chiefs advancing to the Super Bowl, something we know all too well, too much about. Same thing with the Niners. It is a rematch, but this is not about the Super Bowl. This is about the two games. But Austin, let's start with the Chiefs. We were doing it before. I promised you a metaphor. So this season, the Chiefs offense was less than characteristic than their previous selves, where they were amazing. This year, they were 15th in points, 9th in yards. Last year, they were somehow first in points, first in yards. And then in 2021, when they lost the offense, they were 4th in points, 3 in yards. And then in 2020, when they lost in the Super Bowl, it was 1st in yards, 6th in points. However, so here's my metaphor, Austin. And for everyone, this is going to be a little bit out of left field, if I can do a sports reference that's not in the NFL. You could say out of the press box. If you give me 2 minutes-ish to sell you on this idea. The Chiefs this year in the regular season were like Amazing Spider-Man 2. So that's what Chiefs fans were used to. When people saw Amazing Spider-Man 2, not a great movie. It has some moments. Not a great total movie. The Chiefs in the playoffs are like are like Spider-Man Homecoming. It's a good movie. I think people view it as one of the best Spider-Man film. That's not really true. So going from Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was left a lot to be desired, to Spider-Man Homecoming, fans, including myself, were like, wow, this is really good. This is such a unique story. Except it was just basics. It was basic formula, but it told a good story compared to a bad story in Amazing Spider-Man 2 when it was just filled with stuff. But there are great moments, like you had Andrew Garfield, you had Emma Stone. You could say Emma Stone is the Travis Kelce, Andrew Garfield is Patrick Mahomes. Now you go to Patrick Mahomes is Tom Holland, and I'll say Travis Kelce is Robert Downey Jr. Two key players in the film, but it's just one is better received, and I think that's what we're seeing with the offense with the Chiefs, Austin.
The Chiefs' offense has not gotten better. If you look statistically, they are 21.8 points in the regular season. In the postseason, they're 23.3. Is that better? 1.5 points? I mean, that could just be... it's too small of a sample size to see if the offense has really gotten better. Their defense, however, has gotten much better. They averaged 17.3. That was second in the league, points against, second least. In the second least amount of yards as well. And they've allowed 7, 24, and 10, which is 41 points over 3 games. And 41 divided by 3, that's 13.6, or 13.7 if you round. They go from 17.3 to 13.7. That's a much... That is all-time defense, Kevin. 13.7 points against. That's nothing. Again, you could average 14 points a game and still win all of the games. They don't... I feel like the offense is getting too much credit for being part of it. Is Mahomes great? Yes. Is he mitigating risk? Yes. That's what Brady always talks about in all of his interviews, is mitigating risk. Mahomes did that. But there were a lot of checkdowns in that. And it's okay. It's okay to check down some. It's okay to be not as flashy of a passer. But he only had one long pass. technically 2 if you count the one Kelsey.
Yeah, the touchdown to
Yeah.
Kelsey. My
But there was
point
one
is,
pass over 21 yards, while Lamar had multiple.
yeah, I don't think. To me, this is the best the offense can do. I don't see them doing much better just because of the way they're built. They don't really have great wide receivers. Rashee Rice is really good. They just have Kelsey, and it just looks so much better than what they were before. And things have changed. MVS caught the ball. It was a much deeper ball, and I saw the replay of that game. But to MVS before in the Eagles game, dropped the pass, but this time he caught the ball. He also had a key catch against the Bills. It just seemed like it looks like they're performing better, and it's a short sample size, as you mentioned.
Who do you think gained more yards in the game, Ravens or Chiefs?
Probably gonna go Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, me asking the question kind of
Yeah.
puts it into that, but it was, yes. The difference was they had 3 turnovers. Baltimore did. They lost 2 fumbles and had a pick as well. The Chiefs had 2 fumbles but didn't lose either of them, and it didn't result in any problems. And they didn't have too many penalties. Baltimore had 8 penalties for 95 yards, while the Chiefs had 3 penalties for 30 yards. Again, people clown other QBs, in particular Brady, for like his Super Bowl 53, where he only scores 13 points, right? And their defense allows 3. Well, this is that type of game. The Ravens were the best rushing team all year and had no rushing yards to show for it this game.
How many rushing attempts did they?
They only had 16.
Only had 16. And
But they only had let me see. Yeah, they had 16 rushes for 81 yards. This is the first game they've been under 100 yards rushing in a very long time. Actually, Kansas City, while Baltimore outgained yardage wise, Kansas City rushed for more yards. Now, do they have double the carries? Yes, but still, Kansas City had more rushing yards.
yes, I think we've seen a change in philosophy because they air it out. To me, this offense can't do it just because of their tackles. They were also the offense was out without Joe Tooney, because even though they had a Mahomes was getting pressured a ton in that Super Bowl loss in the Brady or Buccaneers game in the Super Bowl. I still think Eric Fisher and I believe it was Andrew Wiley at right tackle then still. Or no, it was Mitchell Schwartz. at
Yeah,
right
it was
tackle
Mr.
then.
Schwartz.
I think they're better than Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor.
That could be true.
And then the wide receivers are just outside of Rashee Rice. It seems the offense is focusing more on the run game, which has been great with Pacheco. And then Kelsey was incredible in the first half.
Yeah, but it really comes down to play design by Andy Reid and can he get Travis Kelsey open? Mahomes missed some passes during the game, and a lot of the passes you were making were checkdowns, but that's not a bad thing. This is just what the Chiefs are at the moment, and they're a defense-led team, and that's really the problem with a lot of the arguments I see from a lot of people is that if you're going to win a lot of Super Bowls, you're not going to win all of them by being the best offense in the league. It's impossible. It's how you play in those moments. And while I do say that the 49ers have a much better offense, if we look at how the defense is played for the 49ers, I would say the Chiefs have a much, much, much better defense at this point in the season.
Yes, the defense has been incredible. And to me, Mahomes has been great. We can both agree he's a great. And it's just this team has adapted throughout the years, and they're on the verge of a dynasty with it's their fourth Super Bowl appearance in 6 years, correct?
5 years.
5 years. 5 years, yeah.
They did what the Patriots did.
Okay. And this was their 6th AFC Championship game?
Yeah.
So they're on the verge. They haven't gotten 3. But that's one thing, and this team is incredibly different, as you mentioned, defense, and I think, and you mentioned Andy Reid. This definitely goes to Andy Reid and just changing the offense and doing what is working best for this offense. They can't be the team that they were last year. They can't be the team that they were the first time they went, just because of the personnel that is restricted due to salary cap. That's the whole reason the salary cap is there, to increase parity. But teams like the Patriots and the Chiefs have adapted to that. They traded Tyreek Hill and they used those picks on defense, and that has worked out because they got Karlaftis and McDuffie, I believe, in the same draft. They've also hit well on late round picks.
Also, Snead was, or no, was McDuffie the pick this year?
No, McDuffie was last year.
Yeah. But he was acquired in the Tyreek Hill trade.
Yes. Yeah.
So they got worse on offense, but made their defense absolutely outstanding. And sometimes that's what you need to do.
Yes, and I think they trusted the offense of, we can do just enough because we have Mahomes and Kelsey. And
well, it's not even that. We can do just enough because of how good our defense is.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when you are giving up 13.7 points per game, you don't need an outstanding offense to compete. Again, a fumble on the 1 yard line and a pick that was thrown into the end zone. Like, the Ravens' offense, minus the turnovers, looked better. The big plays were there. The explosive plays were there. Did they have a few hiccups? Yeah. And then they turned the ball over. That was the big issue. 3 turnovers. That will do it. Whether it was a Lamar fumble, the Zay Flowers fumble, or the Lamar pick. It got away from them. And a way I'll compare this is Brady's first Super Bowl against the Rams. I know you don't know any of the stats for that game, but I'll just tell you. Kurt Warner in that game threw for 365 passing yards. 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and it was also a fumble loss by Ricky Prohl, who was a wide receiver. Brady only threw for 145 and a touchdown. The difference was Brady and the Patriots did not turn over the ball 1 time, while the Rams turned over the ball 3 times. The Rams had 427 yards of total offense. New England had 267, but it didn't matter because they turned over the ball 3 times. That's exactly what happened in this game. Exactly. The Ravens had more yards. Mahomes didn't have as many passing yards as Lamar Jackson, but Lamar turned over the ball twice. Once as a fumble, once as a pick, and then obviously Zay Flowers also fumbled. So if you just compare those to each other, it is very similar. And that, again, is my problem with a lot of the fans of Mahomes. It just seems hypocritical when one person can do it, and then you're going to hate on it for Brady dinking and dunking and not turning over the ball over and winning a game, when that's exactly what happened in this game. Hey, just don't turn the ball over. Our defense will turn them over, and we'll win the game. And when it mattered, Tom Brady drove down the field. When it mattered, Mahomes made a big pass in MVS. It's very comparable.
Yeah. I'm going to add one more thing, and then I'll give you your time to talk about Brady, because we talked about this. So one thing, we're talking about Mahomes not turning over the ball. I do like your comparisons between Brady and Mahomes. And it was something I was reading. Ever since the interception that ended that drive against the Bengals in that AFC Championship game loss, Mahomes has not thrown an interception in the 6 games since. He has turned over the ball once when he fumbled the ball. But otherwise, he hasn't turned over the ball, which is pretty impressive, and I think growth from him. But he's great. However, Austin, this is your segment.
It's just people are so recency bias from everyone. I have this problem too. Everyone does, but the recency bias is so prevalent for everyone who watches it. People forget that just in 2017, a 40-year-old Brady, my bad, threw for 505 yards. Do you know who his best receiver was after Brandon Cooks got hurt in the first quarter? Edelman was out for the year with an ACL tear, so no, Edelman was not his best receiver. when he threw for 500 yards in the Super Bowl. It wasn't that.
Man, I'm gonna hit this one. Is it Nelson Aguilar?
No, it is Danny Amendola. He had three receivers after Brandon Cooks got hurt that actually caught a pass. Okay. Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan, and Philip Dorsett.
Dang.
Those are his three wide receivers when he threw for 505 yards and 3 touchdowns against one of the best defenses in the league. That if you compare it, Rashee Rice, I think, is better than Danny Amendola. And that Philadelphia Eagles team had the 4th best defense in yards and points that year and allowed 505 yards. By the way, Danny Amendola had 152 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. Chris Hogan had 6 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown. And Gronk had 9 receptions, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You can wash out Gronk and Kelsey. But I think that Rashee Rice is better than Danny Amendola. And if you want to give Brady the benefit of the doubt that Chris Hogan's better than Justin Watson, whoever the next best wide receiver is, sure. But no one talks about Chris Hogan like he is a player who should get 128 receiving yards in a Super Bowl. And Brady lost his Super Bowl because his defense gave up 41 points to a backup quarterback. It just seems like these arguments go in circles for no reason. And whether or not Mahomes wins, he's a great player. He's extremely talented. I'm not talking down on him. My point is that recency bias exists very much so because, again, you're not always going to be the best offense. The quarterback can only throw the ball. Unless you're like a Lamar or Josh Allen, you can't run the ball as much. Like Mahomes had 15 rushing yards. You can make big plays, but you're not going to really run the ball. So your offense is constricted to, like you mentioned, how good your O-line is, how good your receivers are, how good your coach is, how good your running back, tight end, all that stuff. And I think we need to calm down the comparisons a little bit until Mahomes at least matures to the age is around where Brady was playing his best. Brady led the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns at 44. To put it this way, Brady never played in a West Coast offense like the Chiefs have run for the majority of the career of Mahomes. They ran a very run-heavy offense because that's what Josh McDaniels liked to do. But Brady could have been so much more. Brady did that and he had a 50-touchdown season. It's comparing these guys at this moment is just not smart because Mahomes has not been in the league long enough for his career to be compared. I'm fine with the LeBron MJ comparisons because LeBron is to the point in his career where even if he does do something, it won't affect the argument too much. Oh, he made another All-Star game. It doesn't move the needle, right? Because you get to the point, it just doesn't matter. Until he wins another ring, it really won't matter. But at this point with Mahomes, Brady started out his playoff career 9-0, Kevin. 3 straight Super Bowl wins. Mahomes obviously lost the Super Bowl, lost an AFC Championship, but he has a chance to get his 3rd here in 7 seasons. This will be his 4th Super Bowl appearance. Brady made his 4th in his 8th season. We'll continue. Technically speaking, it's 6 and 7 because Brady and Mahomes, their first year, didn't play. We'll call it 7 and 8 because technically it is that. But we're getting to the point where Brady started to become who he would be. Mahomes still has a long time to become who he will be. This is not the end product of Mahomes. But if it is, it'll change the argument. I just need to see more things happen before we jump to conclusions because calling Mahomes the GOAT right now, Brady beat him twice. And if I don't know how, if Mahomes gets 5, Kevin, and wins more MVPs, so Brady has 3 in his career, probably should have been 4. Mahomes has 2. Let's say Mahomes ends with 4 or 5. Let's say 5. Let's say he ties Manning, ends with 5. So that's 2 more. But he only has 5 Super Bowls. The fact that the difference is that Brady won 2 Super Bowls because he beat Mahomes both of those years, 2018 and 2020, I think that has to be the difference. But we have a lot of time before that argument ever needs to take place.
Yes, I agree. And we've done a full-length video. That's why, for the listeners, I don't really want to talk about this, even though I did do a comparison. I did text Austin a comparison comparing Kelsey to Gronk. It's just the thing of the moment. Like, oh, where do they rank all time? We can both acknowledge Brady and Mahomes are great. Mahomes is one of the best. He's not the best. It's Brady. That's a fact. There's no debate. You can't debate it. Brady has 7. Austin mentioned all the other stuff. There are going to be some key moments in Mahomes' career. This upcoming game is one of them. Also, I think after Kelsey is a huge moment because he's had Kelsey his whole career. There is Brady before Gronk where he got those Super Bowls, and you talked about that. Then there's Brady after Gronk where they continued that greatness. So, yeah, there's a lot of time. However, this is really incredible from the Chiefs and a great way to start the career because Mahomes has tied Peyton Manning in playoff wins with 14.
That's why, again, what Peyton Manning is more of an Aaron Rodgers. He's more of, I mean, at this point, I know he still has a long time, a Lamar Jackson. They're tremendous in the regular season, but come playoff time, they can't win games. Peyton Manning won one Super Bowl as the primary guy, and they got another Super Bowl because his defense was the best defense, one of the best defenses of all time. Mm-hmm. I'd argue at least top 5. And when you have something like that, you're kind of gifted it. Anyone, I think, could have won that Super Bowl as the QB. Maybe not anyone, but a lot of players could. A lot of quarterbacks. Yeah. A lot of just starter level. Manning that year had 9 touchdowns to 17 picks, Kevin. He was not good at all. And that's what we see from Rodgers. And that's why what Mahomes doing is only really comparable to 2 QBs, in my opinion. And that's Montana and Brady. Montana and Brady are the true winners. While the other guys, while they got some, either weren't that remarkable in whether it's a Troy Aikman or Terry Bradshaw comparison, or they just didn't win in the playoffs. So it really is those 3 as I know Mount Rushmore is 4, but those are the premier when you're comparing the greatest. It's those 3.
Mahomes is being compared to 3, or Mahomes is in the 3 of Montana, Brady.
Well, you said that he had more wins than Peyton, and Peyton usually is that guy.
He's tied with Peyton.
Okay, well, I will humbly assume that in the future, Mahomes will win another playoff game in his career. I think that's pretty fair that I can make that assumption. Okay, well, that's my point, is the winning games and being an elite quarterback has really only been done by Brady and Mahomes and Montana. I'm just comparing that to this point in their career, guys who've won MVPs and guys that have gone far in the playoffs. Because Manning never did it, Rodgers never did it, and Rodgers has 4 MVPs. Manning has 5 MVPs. But that's not everything.
Yes, I agree. And I like what you bringing up Montana. I think it's safe to say Mahomes is in rarefied air. He's in that realm of Montana, Brady. Is he the best? No.
I still wouldn't put him above Montana. If I was actually like, I don't think
that debate. I think seriously now or no.
Montana has 4. I need if Mahomes wins, I probably would. But Montana went 4-0 in Super Bowls. He has 4.
That's true.
If we're talking this second, I would have Montana above him. I think that's fair. 4 Super Bowls. Yeah. He defined an entire era. Very dominant player. I think Montana deserves at this second to be ahead of Mahomes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're saying he's an all-time great quarterback by putting him in that realm of Montana. Brady.
Yeah, I literally just said he's in my top 3, basically.
Yeah.
So
he's in the top 3. So we're giving credit to Mahomes. The thing is where we're trying not to do that, other people are failing at, is Brady's the GOAT. It's a fact. You can't debate it. It's a losing debate.
I don't understand I can't even grab. Let me put it this way. Mahomes is at 2. If he times his Super Bowl by 3, multiplies. He has less Super Bowls.
Yes, which is insane. But it is also insane. 4 out of his 6 years as a starter, he's been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
All 6 seasons as a starter, he's been in the AFC Championship game, which is
True.
insane.
It's probably the greatest start to a career because of his MVP wins. Now, Brady was a couple like top 3 finishes in MVP to start his career. His second year, he led the league in passing touchdowns. But I would if he wins this Super Bowl, I would say it's probably the best start. The problem is that Brady, 40 through 45, was still MVP winner, won 2 Super Bowls, probably should have won another MVP, and beat Mahomes in his 40s twice to win 2 Super Bowls. Went to 3 Super Bowls. The Mahomes-Brady argument needs to be an epic. An epic being a very long, you know what an epip is, like the hero's journey.
Isn't Odyssey an epic?
Yes, an epic is a very long book. Okay, we're through 6 chapters. Okay,
Yes.
We're not into the realm of comparison yet. We don't know how the story ends,
which is insane.
Say again.
Mahomes is still 28, and he has the most playoff wins at 28. That just goes to the point. This is an incredible start from someone.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I will never say that it wasn't incredible. It's incredible. The problem is, again, what makes Brady the GOAT, really, look, if he would have retired after winning the Rams Super Bowl at 41.
He tied. Or no, he passed.
He'd have 6.
Correct. He had 6.
He'd have 6. He'd have 6. Yeah. And there's no guarantee necessarily that the Chiefs, we'll say the Chiefs still lose the Super Bowl or whatever. But if he would have retired, that would have been like, oh, great. But he went to a new team in COVID and beat Mahomes again. At 43. At 43. He won a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl, Kevin, at 39, 41, 43. Mm-hmm. What is that? What my career are we playing at the moment? It's great. And he didn't win the Super Bowl this year, but at age 40, he set the most yards in a Super Bowl and won MVP that year. So at 39 wins the Super Bowl, 40 wins MVP. 41, he wins the Super Bowl. 42 was obviously that last year with the Patriots. 43, he wins the Super Bowl. 44, he could have won MVP. If we go those 5 years, 39 to 44, that's the prime of a Hall of Fame quarterback. Not 39 to 44. That is, he did more during that time than Troy Aikman's entire career. He won 3 Super Bowls and had an MVP. That is more than Aikman ever did. And it is 5 seasons from 39 to 44. I don't even know what the conversation's about.
Yeah, the conversation is just not happening, and it shouldn't happen. It's just the popular topic right now when you see all these stats. But yeah, Mahomes is great. That's fact. He's an all-time great. Is he the best? No. The fact is Brady. So
yeah,
I do want to talk about Lamar Jackson.
Okay,
and then we'll get to the Lions. But Lamar Jackson, this could have been his moment. The Zay Flowers fumble, that's on Zay Flowers. But to me, that interception, he was just throwing to the end zone. He was trying to make a play. There was plenty of time. Or there wasn't plenty of time, but there was time to get something done. And Lamar Jackson fell short. So that's a criticism of him that needs to happen. I think he got lost up in the moment. Because at the end of that drive, he could have just thrown the first down, but instead he threw it into triple coverage. He just kept.
I will
deep.
say, I will say, Isaiah likely did put his hand up. So he was calling for the ball. Now Lamar knows better. He shouldn't make that pass. But I will give him a slight cut of slack that his receiver for some reason put his hand up, which is the universal sign for pass me the ball.
Yeah.
Now he still should have looked him off and not made the pass. It was a mistake. It's on Lamar. He made the throw. But it's not the most egregious throw I've ever seen because his wide receiver did say, hey, throw me the ball. And he was trying to make something happen. But what were you going to say?
Yeah, that's my thing is, and it was before, I was like, why you just keep going to the end zone? You're trying to force it. It wasn't a terrible throw. It wasn't a good throw. It was just, to me, he was like, you got to be calm in that moment. And I don't think he was.
Very comparable to Josh Allen. My dad said it on the phone.
Mhm.
I talked to my dad about the 2 throws Josh Allen made to kick the field goal into the end zone. My dad's like, that's exactly what Lamar was doing. And I'm like, you know what? You're correct. You're correct. You need a field goal there. You can't not get something there. And they got nothing. And while I'd still say, like, historically speaking, Lamar is probably a better quarterback than Josh Allen because of the things he's done MVP-wise, they're right in the same boat. I said I would be fair to all the Josh Allen fans that I would hold Lamar to the same bar. And while I still probably will have Lamar maybe one place ahead of Josh Allen when it comes to our quarterback rankings over the summer, because I do think he's a better quarterback, it doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter that Lamar won a playoff game or made it one more round than Josh Allen. You got to win a Super Bowl, man. You got to win a Super Bowl.
And he had the chance and he didn't. So that's why I want to talk about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Ravens, the defense did its job in the second half. It had a slow start. The Chiefs punched.
Defense was fine. If you allow a team to 17 points, you should win.
Yep.
My dad always says 20 is the magic number. If you can hold a team under 20, you should win. If you hold a team to 20, you should win. You should get 3 touchdowns is really what the goal should be. That's 21 points. So anything under that, according to my dad, and that's the same basis I use. If a defense allows 20 points or less, the offense is the reason why you lost.
Yeah, and they had their chances, and that was a great punch out. I don't know how you feel about that rule. I love the touchback rule. I hope they don't change it. I think it incentivizes. It helps the defense, and it just if you're the player, just don't reach over the goal line.
Yeah, but that's not you. I get what you're saying. I'm not going to say you're necessarily alone in that belief, but I have to say, as a player, that's what you're taught is score a touchdown. Like not even
it's
like
on the coaches. That's my it's a view on the coaches for me. Like you gotta drill it into the players. Do not, if you're gonna reach over, make sure you have firm control. If you do not reach over the goal line.
But that's the whole thing. When you reach over, you think you have control, right? It's a punch out for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't even say that. Okay. My dad thinks it's a stupid rule, and I'm kind of in between. I'm not like you.
My brother hates it, and I'm like, dude, I love this rule. It's so fun when it comes up.
My dad hates it. You apparently love it. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think I lean my dad's side a little bit because I believe that it is. My dad makes a good point. When the ball goes out of bounds anywhere on the field, it's the offense's ball. Unless it goes outside the end zone, and then it's the defense's ball. That doesn't make much sense. Like, why is it not when it goes out of bounds anytime? It'd be like rugby. In rugby, if you fumble the ball, it's the other team's ball, I believe. If you're watching this, please correct me. But
yeah,
I believe that's true. Yes. But it does seem a little counterintuitive that that's the case. I think that the best happy medium is maybe you don't give them at the 1 yard line. Maybe it goes to the 20, but it's offensive.
I'm cool with that. I want it to penalize the offense because when you're going for that touchdown, that's the opportunity to get 7 points. And if you're careless with the ball, to me, I think you should be penalized with that.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I'm a happy medium. Your dad makes a good point though with the out of bounds. I just don't want it to be like, oh, you fumbled out the 1 yard line, just redo. No, the 1 yard line is critical to me.
I get your point.
Yeah, so I just want, and it helps more into the favor of defenses. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about, Lamar Jackson. And now we can go to the other game. And what's up, y'all? As you can tell, this video went a little bit long. We are at 30 minutes. So Austin told me about the time, and I was like, oh yeah. So we did a separate video, and we didn't record an ending about it. for this episode. So this is that ending. So our review of the Lions versus Niners in the NFC Championship game will be posted tomorrow. We apologize for the length, but we felt this was the best option for y'all. And make sure to check out all our other videos and make sure you're notified by YouTube or Instagram as we post updates on those, on when the episodes releases. And make sure to comment. Thank you guys for listening to Outsiders Opinions.